Today, we're going to be taking a look at some of the most overrated FNAF fan games the community has ever seen. These are games that generated massive amounts of hype, but didn't quite live up to the expectations surrounding them. Some of these are still good games, but compared to their reputation, they left many players wanting more, so let's dive into them. What is the most well-known Five Nights at Freddy's fan game of all time? Obviously, if you know anything about the fandom, you'd know that the answer to that question is Five Nights at Candy's, the first fan game to ever meet the quality of the official games, the first of its time. Five Nights at Candy's needs no introduction. If you're watching FNAF videos like this, you already know what it is, and you probably remember various YouTubers playing it, and remember how amazing it truly was. But was it really? Today, I'll be taking a deep dive into the world of Five Nights at Candy's, Five Nights at Freddy's most mediocre fan game. Five Nights at Candy's 1. Where it began, where it started. It would be unfair to talk about the original since a much better remake has been made for it now, Five Nights at Candy's Remastered, so I'll be talking about that version when talking about the first game in the series for this video. For the first game in the series, this game actually has a bunch of characters, something that most first FNAF games don't have, starting off with a large 7 different animatronics for you to deal with. But let me tell you, this will not lead to any meaningful challenge throughout the game. Might as well mute the fucking thing and put on a movie while you're playing because this game is piss easy. Easy game doesn't equal bad game, Dxtr, I hear you saying, and I agree. There are plenty of very easy games that are very fun and good. However, the thing about those other easy games is that they're also fun and entertaining. Five Nights at Candy's is not fun or entertaining. There are multiple mechanics implemented into this game that are actually useless, and I'll get into those in a bit. But first, we should talk about Night 1. Night 1 introduces 3 characters. Excuse me? 3 characters on the first night of the game. Well, this just sounds like a fucking nightmare, doesn't it? Well, don't fret. You actually have nothing to worry about because, as I said earlier, this game is easier than a pick-me-girl. The animatronics active on this night are Candy, Cindy, and Chester. Let's cover Candy first since he's the main character. Who would have thought? Candy loves to twerk. That's not important. Just thought I'd tell you about my headcanon. Hey, Candy! Boing! 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 Okay, sorry. Anyways, Candy can attack either of your 2 doors, which you may think would make him a challenge, having to strategically watch the cameras to see which direction he'll go in. Because something you'll notice about your office is that the doors have no lights. Well, guess what? That doesn't matter because Candy's eyes glow in the doorway when he appears there, so you never have to check your camera. Just watch the door for the 2 white dots to appear and then close it. Well, if it's not hard to track him, does he waste a lot of power to make the night more stressful? No, not at all. He and all the other animatronics actually leave your door incredibly quickly, so you will barely waste any power keeping them out. Speaking of power, how does it work? Well, something interesting about the doors is that instead of draining a constant amount of power like most FNAF games, the doors in this game will exponentially drain power, meaning that the longer they're closed, the faster they drain power. You can tell how fast the doors will drain power by the meter directly next to the button. That sounds fun, right? Having to manage your door power to make sure it doesn't stay high for too long? No. I just told you the animatronics leave super quickly, but on top of that, when you open the door, the meter empties almost immediately, so there is no challenge whatsoever. Okay, so the main character isn't tough to deal with. Maybe the other ones will compensate. Tell me about Cindy, Dxtr. I want to examine her hip dips. First of all, back up, Buster. She's mine. Second of all, she's actually even easier than Candy is, if you could believe it. She works in the exact same way, except she only attacks the right door. Her eyes will also glow in the doorway, so again, there is still no need to ever look at the cameras yet. Are you keeping up? Let's see how long it takes before we're forced to look at the cameras together. This will be fun. What about Chester? He's got an interesting character design. How does he work? Well, you're actually right, I can't lie. Chester starts behind a curtain similar to Foxy, except the difference is that I actually can lie. All he does is go to your right door. Oh, and his eyes glow, so no. Still no reason to ever look at the camera in a million years. Okay, this game sounds really underwhelming, Dxtr, but hey, you said there were 7 characters, right? Who appears in Night 2? Wonderful question. Night 2 introduces the Penguin, but unfortunately that's a really boring and shitty name, so I'll be calling him Petey because fuck you. Petey actually does something different this time, and no, I'm really not lying this time. Petey will enter your office and hide under your desk. He himself doesn't actually kill you, but he will randomly open and close your doors, which can prove to be frustrating if he opens a door at the wrong time and you don't notice. Stop closing my shit, Petey. Stop closing my shit, Petey. Not cool, Petey. Petey, stop it! Oh, Petey, you're such a little dirty slut. He's also just adorable. I mean, look at him. He's precious. Oh, also there's one key detail about him I left out, and that's that when he gets to your door, his eyes glow, so you can easily keep him out of your office. So you know, I still don't ever have a reason to look at the cameras. Dxtr, this is draining. When is this game going to get interesting? Well, that's funny you should ask that because the answer is fucking never. Night 3 introduces Blank, the most interesting character out of the entire game. And let me tell you, he's really not that interesting. Blank acts as this game's Foxy. I know I blue-balled you earlier, making you think that would be Chester's role, but Chester is really just worthless. Blank, on the other hand, is still worthless, just slightly less so. Blank appears on a camera I can't be fucked to double-check the name of. He has multiple phases he moves through before jumping to camera 5. Once in camera 5, if you look at him, you'll see him swing his fist towards the camera, which is actually the glass window directly in front of you. If you don't close the window in time, he'll break the glass and then break your back from behind. Well, hey, look at that. Finally reason to look at the cameras, right? Took the game long enough. Wrong, fucking idiot. Let me teach you how to properly play this game. Cameras are for bitches. You're not a bitch, are you? No. You watch Dxtr White, and my second channel, Dxtr Black, and my third channel, Dxtr Blue, right? You're subscribed. You better be subscribed, you dirty piece of shit. I know you're not fucking subscribed. You better do it right now before I leak those Discord messages with that girl that said she was 13. Yeah, that's right, you fucking freak. I saw them. I'll let the whole fucking world know unless you subscribe right now. Did you subscribe? Okay. Good. Officer! Here he is! The sick bastard is right here! Gun his ass down! Taser, taser, taser! Firing squad, now! Go! Send me the fucking Moab! Another Moab! Okay, now that we got that sick fuck out of here. No, you still don't have to use the cameras, and it all has to do with your doors. Remember how I explained the exponential power usage? Yeah, we're about to break that mechanic. Here's all you have to do to beat every main night in this game. The night starts. Close all 3 doors. Whenever a door reaches stage 3, open it, wait for it to empty, and re-close it. That's it. Repeat this process throughout the whole night, and congrats, the game is over. Wrap it up and go home, bro, you did it. You still might be wondering how that deals with Blank. Well, that's easy. It only takes the door about 1.5 seconds to go back to empty. So while yes, technically speaking, Blank could break through your window in that 1.5 time frame, but the chances of that actually happening are pretty much slim to none. But let's imagine that this isn't an absolutely game-breaking strategy and move on to night 4, which introduces Old Candy. This game's poor attempt to make the game difficult. Old Candy works the same as every other normal character in this game. He moves to your left door and then attacks if the door isn't closed. But the big difference he has from the other character is that his eyes don't glow in the doorway. Usually, this is where I'd praise the game for finally doing something right. But the door strategy we've established earlier really destroys all hope this game had of redeeming itself. While yes, alone this would usually cause Old Candy to be another reason to check the cameras along with Blank, since you don't have to, it literally doesn't even matter. Night 5. Anything cool? Literally no. It's just a harder version of Night 4. But how about Night 6? Is that any better? Kind of, I guess. Night 6 adds the Rat.
Oh shit! A rat!
Who does literally the exact same thing that Old Candy does. That being, you're unable to see his eyes in the door. Oh, and he can attack both doors like Candy. Mazel tov. It doesn't matter though. Again, because of the keep the doors closed the whole time strategy, this will make it feel like he never was there to begin with. In fact, would you believe me if I told you, even me, yes, Dxtr, the guy who is so criminally bad at FNAF games he is often incapable of beating the 6th night of fan games, completed 720 mode on his first attempt while Petey was in the office at the same time. Would you believe me? If you said no, even after hearing about the broken strategy I talked about earlier, then I'm incredibly hurt that you would think I'm that fucking bad at video games. But yes, I did in fact beat 720 mode on my first attempt while Petey was in the office for a majority of the run. What are you gonna do about it? Wow, Dxtr, this game is actually pretty fucking bad. I have no idea why I've been glazing it for as many years as I have been. Well, relax. You're right. But the remastered version of Five Nights at Candy's does actually add a secret night that I think is pretty cool. And guess what? You actually have to use your camera to beat it. Let's talk about it. If you go to the extras menu and stare at the rat for long enough, a code will appear on screen. If you input that code into the custom night menu, you will unlock a hidden night null, a final boss fight night against Shadow Candy. How does it play? Well, once you understand how he works, it's not a very difficult night, but I still think it's cool. To start the night, you need to look at Shadow Candy and the cameras, who appears on a camera that, once again, I can't be fucked to double check the name of. So editor, put the camera number on screen for me. There. That camera. Once you look at him, the night will begin. His movement pattern is unpredictable, but not too difficult to understand. He will try to get to your office like any other animatronic, but he can attack either of your doors and your window. If he gets to your office, you don't lose immediately. He'll jump scare you, yes, but instead of killing you, it will make you lose a decent chunk of power and cause the time to stop moving. In order to get the time to begin moving again, you have to look at the cameras and find an origami cat and click it. It will then return back to your desk, and then the time will resume as normal. So, we want to prevent Candy from getting into our office. How do we do that? If you're shitty at doing your job and Shadow Candy gets to your door, you're not immediately fucked. When he attacks, he will play a very quick animation in whatever doorway he is attacking from. In that small time frame, you will be able to close the door. You will still lose a decent chunk of power from this, but it won't be as much as if he jump scared you. Okay, so we want to prevent Shadow Candy from getting to the door, period. How do we do that? This part is pretty easy, but you need to be quick and accurate with your mouse. I've realized I haven't yet explained how the cameras worked yet, but that's because you haven't ever had to use them up until this point, so I'll explain them real quick. They have a flashlight like FNAF 2. That's it. There's nothing else special about them. However, this does lead into how Shadow Candy works. When Shadow Candy leaves insert camera number on screen editor, you will have a limited amount of time to find him on your cameras before he reaches your office. You will have to quickly check each camera to try and find him, and when you do, all you have to do is stare at him and he'll return to insert camera number on screen editor. However, there's still one super cool thing about Shadow Candy. Every time he moves, he will only be visible on either the cameras that are off or the cameras that are on. Meaning if your camera lights are on after he moves, there is a chance you won't be able to see him on any camera, and you'll have to switch your camera lights off and quickly recheck every camera to see where he is. So you do have to be very fast, which I actually think is pretty cool for a secret boss fight night like this. Again, it's not a very hard night once you know what you're doing, but I do want to give this game a little bit of praise since I've been shitting all over it so far. Before we move on to the next game, there's one small detail in this game that I really want to talk about, and that's the two other secret endings. If you go into the custom night menu and set everyone to 0 except Petey, setting him to 20 and begin the night, if you close all the doors and have the power run out, you'll get a secret ending with text on your screen stating that all you have to do is wait now, since there's nothing in the building that can kill you. If you instead let Petey into your office and then lose to power outage, it will additionally add that you're alone with a penguin. Literally so unimportant, but I love little details like this in games, so I had to mention it. Oh wait, I should probably talk about this game's fucked story, shouldn't I? Well, after each night, we get a cutscene. After night 1, we load onto camera footage of a conveyor belt that's empty. Turning to the left, we see a weird, sad version of the marionette, who we later learn has the name Vinny. As you look away from him, he does a backflip onto your dick and rides it like a bike. Night 2's cutscene begins with us being unable to see anything, only hearing people screaming. Afterwards, the camera cuts to show some endoskeletons covered in blood. Night 3 shows the conveyor belt under investigation, with the puppet fucker tweaking out and busting it down, looking at me up and down, trying to magic mic me. Night 4 shows Candy and Cindy on the conveyor belt, new and cleaned. Looking to the left shows the pussy pointing at them, and looking back, we see both of them are gawking at me. Eyes off the prize, guys. I know, my pecker is massive, but you don't get to have it. Night 5 shows Blank and Old Candy on the conveyor belt. Mary and Nut comes up behind them, looks at us and tells us it was a mistake and a problem. Ooh, spooky. I almost shit my pants. Night 6 shows what happens right before Night 5, originally also having the rat on the conveyor belt. It gets up and walks away, which would lead me to believe that the rat might be one of the first animatronics capable of moving on its own. Or maybe I'm just bugging and trying to seem interested in a story I'm not at all interested in right now. I promise the third game tells the story way better than this garbage, so stick around. Also subscribe, because you love me, don't you? Please say you do. And finally, Night Null shows a teaser for Five Nights at Candy's 4, which by the way I believe is never coming out. Now, it hasn't been confirmed that it's canceled by the way, but we haven't heard anything about it from the creator for over 2 years, so I think it's pretty safe to say that it's dead, but who knows. And that's all Five Nights at Candy's Remastered has to offer. Overall, a very mediocre game, but I bet you'd be able to guess that's how I felt about it by the title of the video. Now, time to move on to Five Nights at Candy's 2, right? Thankfully, no. That is by far the weakest and worst game in the series, even having the creator Emil Mako agree that it's not good at all. The reason I'm not covering it here, in the video all about the Five Nights at Candy series, is because I dedicated an entire video on this channel to shitting all over that game. I recommend if you haven't seen it to go watch it now and then come back to hear me talk about the third game, which is what we will be doing next. Alright, Five Nights at Candy's 3 time! Hooray! Hooray! Undoubtedly the best game in the main series. Let's figure out why. It opens to a cutscene of Vinny facing away from the camera, talking about how he knows we remember something, and that whatever it is was all our fault. We will soon learn it was in fact not our fault, but before we can dive into that, we should talk about the gameplay. Yay! My favorite part about writing these videos, and for once that isn't ironic. Starting the game, before Night 1 begins, we get another cutscene. Presumably, our character is talking to a counselor or a psychologist, or something of the nature of that profession. In this game, we play as a child, and the office is replaced with a bedroom reminiscent of Five Nights at Freddy's 4. This game takes a pretty similar approach to Five Nights at Freddy's 4 as well in terms of what is actually happening. It seems that what we experience is a dream, or I guess a nightmare would make more sense, which is very commonly believed to be what is happening in Five Nights at Freddy's 4 as well. We see that we drew a picture of our nightmares, that being the rat and the cat. We're then thrown into Night 1, and I can do a gameplay breakdown. What can I say? This is my favorite part. Just kidding, we have some more bullshit before we can actually get into the night section of the game. We're tossed into an 8-bit minigame section, and before each night we will come back to this place. In it, we'll be able to explore the dreamscape, find secrets about the lore, and talk to the origami cat that we saw in Night Null from the remastered first game. As the night progresses, more things will be added to the dreamscape, but I'll explain that as we go. On the first night, all that's in our bedroom area of the dreamscape is the origami cat and our bed. The cat explains an important night mechanic, our tape player. I'll explain what that does when we actually get into the night. I mentioned that we can explore here, so what can we find, and what significance does it have? Well, let's explain how the dreamscape actually works first. You'll be able to see a clear path laid out, with nothing but darkness surrounding it. This darkness is not walls, as you can walk here, but if you walk too far from the path, you'll get jumped and butt-banged by the rat. So just stay on the path unless you know what you're doing. On Night 1, following the path, we find a toy car that we can talk to. He really says nothing of significance. We also find newspaper clippings talking about the new animatronics that Candice has designed. Wow, I'm so excited! I hate talking about lore. If you're new to the channel, I don't like talking about lore because I'm really bad at it, but I try my best. We find a rock with engravings on it that says we shouldn't be scared of stepping off the path a little bit. Checking the back of the rock, it tells us to go south. Doing so leads us to another newspaper clipping, reading about a place called Rat and Cat's Theater, which will become very important to the story later. The puppet animatronic supposedly started moving on its own and attacked a child. The guy who was supposed to be remote controlling it got arrested because nobody believed him when he said it moved by itself. Typical. Never believe the wagee, right? Fuck them. They said that they don't have any organic pasta sauce in the back. They must be lying. Now I have to make a scene until the manager of the building comes to my rescue and tells me the exact same thing the wagee just told me. Anyways, here we can find our tape player and an arcade game. Oh boy, arcade games. I don't know about you guys, but I personally hate the arcade games in any FNAF game. Maybe I'm just a hater, but I've never been a fan. Anyways, now we can actually move on to my favorite part of the video. Game mechanic breakdown, the part I'm actually good at. This game plays very basic in nature, and honestly isn't all that hard, but I do think it's the most enjoyable gameplay out of the whole series. Before we talk about the characters, I want to talk about the tape player that we picked up earlier. Located behind us, we can access this tape player, and if you play the music, the night will progress faster. So there's seriously no reason not to play it. The only downside is that it makes noise, and listening in this game is kind of important. After a bit of time, the tape player will stop, and you'll have to rewind it in order to play it again. Now, to talk about the only threat active on night 1, the rat. Just like Candy's 1, there are 3 entry points the animatronics can attack from, 2 doors and a closet. The rat will occasionally appear at any of these 3 areas, and you'll know he's there based off of sound cues and opening your fucking eyes and looking. If you catch him fast enough, he'll hide again, very similar to Bonnie and Chica from Five Nights at Freddy's 4. If, however, you don't flash him with your light quick enough, he will enter his attack phase, wherein he'll jump in front of you, waving his dick in your face. During his attack phase, all you have to do is keep your flashlight on his face. He'll move his head out of the way to try to avoid the light. After successfully defending yourself, the attack still isn't over, as the rat will jump under your bed. At this time, you must check under your bed to see which side he's on. Once you figure it out, you must come back up and look in the opposite direction of where he was to lure him out from under the bed. Here is where you have to listen very closely to be able to hear him coming up from under the bed. Look too early, and you're cooked. Look too late, and you're also cooked. Once you hear the sound cue, quickly turn and flash your light at his face once more, and he'll finally leave your room, ending the attack phase. This is honestly pretty damn cool, I can't even lie. I think it's interesting how he doesn't give up on his pursuit so easily and continues to try different means of attacking you. Again, the rat is the only threat on this night, so completing it isn't all too hard. After completing the night, we get a post-night minigame. Yay, more lore. I'm so excited. Each of these minigames plays the same on each night, with small differences here and there. In these games, we play as our character inside of the Rat and Cat Theater. Walking around, we can talk to our dad and eventually find the rat, who at the time wasn't an animatronic, but was instead just a big mascot costume that an actual human would be inside of. He asks to play hide and seek, and it's our job to hide. Spoiler alert, you will always be found. When he finds you, the minigame ends and we head back to Dreamscape. Night 2 Dreamscape adds a drawer with a lamp to our bedroom. Heading into the darkness, we find another rock, and on the back, it reads to go east. Going east, we find a newspaper clipping reading that Rat and Cat Theater will be reopening. We find another rock, tells us to go north, and we do find another path. Following it, we find a newspaper clipping reading that the animatronics at Rat and Cats will be safely controlled by experts. Judging by what we read in a previous clipping, I have a funny feeling they're not going to listen. But you know what? I'm sure it's totally fine. Traveling off the path again, we find a toy horse that says a whole lot of fucking nothing. Keep traveling around and we find another arcade game and can finally go back into the meat and potatoes of this game. All right, night 2. Anything new? No. It's the same as night 1, but the rat is more aggressive. Yay. Now I get to talk about more lore. I'm not excited. I'm so sorry you have to hear me talk about this. The post-night 2 minigame has us play hide and seek with the cat this time. Spoiler alert, you still can't win. Get found and we go back to the Dreamscape. This is going to be majorly what I talk about in the section of the video until something new is introduced, by the way, so I truly apologize for that. Dreamscape Night 3 actually introduces something new, Nightmare Cat. Not only will he be active in the nights now, but in the Dreamscape as well. His purpose in the Dreamscape is to give you a time limit for how long you can be in the darkness. However, it's a very generous amount of time, so I highly doubt it'll be a huge problem. We find a rock with engravings telling us to go east. You know how this goes by now. We find a newspaper clipping explaining that the building has arcade machines. Oh, riveting lore. Thanks for telling me, asshole. Find another newspaper clipping that literally just says adults can talk and drink coffee. What the fuck am I playing right now, guys? Is this story actually good? Why do I give a fuck about such minor details like this, bro? Oh hey, another newspaper clipping. I wonder if it says anything of substance. It doesn't. It says kids can have fun. Wow, my jaw is agape right now. We find a worthless toy duck and an arcade game 3 part 1, and finally can continue on to the next night, where I actually have 2 mechanics to talk about. This night, as I mentioned earlier, introduces the cat. His mechanic is very simple, but can prove to be an annoyance if timed improperly with the rat. The cat will at random appear on the left or right side of your bed. You'll be able to hear it breathing. When you do, all you have to do is turn towards it and hold your light on it until it hides away. Easy. The only time this becomes a problem is if he attacks you while you're dealing with the rat. Since the rat's attack is so long, there's a decent chance that cat and rat could Eiffel Tower you, which I can guarantee there is Rule 34 of, but I don't have the bravery to look for it myself. The other new mechanic is knocking. This is both a blessing and a curse. When the rat appears at one of your doors, there's a chance he can knock. It's a very loud knock, so you should always hear it. However, the rat will always try to trick you by knocking at a door he's not actually at. The knock will be directional, so if you hear a knock on your left side, you know that the rat is either at your right door or your closet, which can actually really help narrow it down on later nights when you have to be quick. Nothing else really to talk about here, so let's move on to the next stupid fuck-ass lore dump. In this minigame, we see a man dressed as the puppet. He says that usually Vinny is with him, which leads me to believe that Vinny is probably the robot puppet that attacked the child. Moving on, we talk to the rat, play an unwinnable game of hide and seek again, and it's back to the dreamscape. A lot of people glaze this game for having a good story, and I'll admit that from what I understand, it's pretty cool, but holy shit, the way it tells its story is so goddamn cock-sucking boring, bro. I don't want to play hide and seek for the millionth time, dude. Seriously, please, do something different, I'm dying. In the dreamscape, we find a newspaper clipping reading about a new horror movie, and saying the actor did a really good job playing a psychopath. Gonna take a wild guess, that's probably because the actor is a psychopath. Why the fuck am I reading about this? I need someone to explain to me in the comments because I'm stumped. We find part 2 of the third arcade game, a stupid fucking toy robot, and a note written by who I'm guessing is the guy who was dressed as the puppet. He says that the theater was never meant for him and that he always wanted to be an actor. Now, I'm going to guess that this guy is also the actor who played the psycho we read about earlier. Anyways, who gives a fuck? Next nighttime! Is there anything new? No, it's just harder. Let's talk about the minigame. Wanna guess what we do? That's right. Play hide and seek with the cat and fucking lose because we're garbage. Dreamscape time! Boy, this game is really short when you break it down, huh? A lot of filler bullshit when you stop and think about it. In the dreamscape, we find a note mentioning a brutal accident between 2 theater coworkers, but it doesn't go into detail. Another newspaper clipping we find later explains a bit more. Both actors were found dead, one from asphyxiation and the other from cracking their neck on the edge of a table. It seems that one choked the other, killing them, and then passed out from the adrenaline and died against the table. That seems a bit coincidental, doesn't it? And we did just learn there was an implication that someone else was a psychopath. Something fishy is going on here. Finally, we find a toy teapot and part 3 of the third arcade game and can go to my favorite part. Just kidding, nothing new is added. It's just harder again, so I have nothing fun to talk about. Minigame time! I'm losing my fucking mind! Finally, in this minigame, something different happens. This time, we played hide and seek with the cat, except the cat is going to try to find a fuck ton of kids like Jared Fogle. This time, however, we go to hide in a different spot than previously, inside of one of the employee-only rooms. Inside, we find Vinny, the controllable puppet, and we hide inside a locker. The rat quickly follows behind us, and human Vinny comes in to scold the rat's actor for being drunk around the kids. Rather than just explain this to you, I'd rather just show you what happens. Do you have any idea what would happen if any of the parents found out that one of our actors is drunk? Think of our careers. Think of the children. What about the children? They love me. I'm the most popular character in this freaking show. Don't be jealous that I've got talent and you don't. You have no idea what you're talking about. Take off that costume, you're going home. No, I'm gonna go back out there and keep this damn show alive. No, you're not. Take it off now. Oh shit. Cut it out. Oh, dick. Toy Chica, do that to me for real, please. My Toy Chica. You know what I mean. Let me go, bitch. Damn, please. Please. Oh shit, he's dead. Hey, Hey. Are you okay? Come on, man, this isn't funny. Oh no. No, no, no. With all the... What happened? Lock the door. I didn't mean to. It was an accident. I swear he... You have to call an ambulance and the police. You have to tell them what happened. No, wait. Was always a bit unstable. He'd been drinking. We found him like this. Yes. That's what we have to tell them. We found him dead in here. Listen, it was an accident, an honest mistake. We have to tell them what really happened. But I can't. Oh shit! What are you doing? I can't. That's right. The two co-workers weren't fighting each other. Instead, they were both murdered. And we were inside the closet, able to hear and witness the entire thing go down. At the time, Human Vinny had no idea we were there, and he thought he could just dust his hands and have the whole thing blow over to be an accident, moving on to become the movie star he'd always wanted to be. But now that we've been talking with our counselor, we remember, and with the truth coming out, Vinny was held responsible. And let me tell you, this motherfucker is not happy one bit. This is why he was saying it was our fault at the beginning, which, bullshit, by the way, it's your fault. You killed them, you retard. Going into night 6, we talk to Vinny once more. He explains again it's our fault and that he will personally make sure that we never sleep again. Night 6 consists of only Nightmare Vinny. And let me tell you, this night is no walk in the park. Vinny works the exact same as the rat, except he's more aggressive, and his attack phase is much more brutal. When he attacks, instead of moving his head, it will rotate in a circle, making following his head incredibly more difficult. The window for flashing him is also much smaller, and the amount of time you can spend not flashing him is microscopic, like your penis, bitch. This night is fucking hard. I know there are challenges in this game that make it harder, and I know there's a more difficult version of this game called FNAF But Better that makes it even harder, but fuck you. This night is a pain in the dick. I naturally have very shaky hands, and that prevents me from being able to complete it without pouring hours and hours of work into it, but I urge you to play through this game for yourself if you don't believe me how hard it is. Keeping your mouse on this fucker is ass. Very ass. Big ol' jiggly dick ass. Do you like nuts in your mouth? Do ya? Because you're gonna have a lot of nuts in your mouth while you're getting teabagged by this asshole. He's gonna be dragging your nuts across your forehead, and you're going to be begging for his Jeeb juice because you're a dirty little piglet. Oh please, mix it with orange Fanta. Chris Chan, fuck off, boy. Anyways, after beating the night, we get one last minigame. We step out of the locker, walk past the bodies, and out of the building where we're greeted by the police who didn't even know we were in there, and reuniting with our dad. Really, the only other thing to talk about is the arcade games we've been collecting in Dreamscape. Fishing with Candy, Cindy's Garden, and Candy's Adventure. Fishing with Candy has us catch fish. Wow, I bet you couldn't have figured that out. Occasionally, Petey will appear to take one of your fish like the dirty little slut that he is. If you reach a score of 9,999, you will enter a secret minigame. In this game, you play as a parent walking around the Candy's building, eventually stumbling upon a crowd of kids watching Vinny. The kids disappear and Vinny's smile turns into a frown. Afterwards, the game ends. Cindy's Garden has us whack moles. Reaching a score of 9,999 will send us to another minigame, this time playing as the cat. We have to catch 2 kids and put them on a conveyor belt, turning them into Candy and Cindy. So, yeah, that's pretty fucked. We just put 2 live children through a machine that compacted them inside of a metal suit. That's like super fucked up. And I don't think I needed to tell you how fucked up that is, yet here I am telling you that. Finally, we have Candy's Adventure, and fuck is this a long one. It's normal for 90% of it, just being a Mario-style platformer where you have to avoid some enemies, solve some puzzles, and collect some power-ups. I will add that this minigame is pretty damn hard, however. At the end, there's a boss fight against a big dog, and once you beat him, you can glitch the game and enter another secret minigame. In this minigame, we play as the rat. We have to walk through the original Candy's restaurant, avoiding the gaze of the other animatronics, and eventually get to the office where we attack the night guard and helicopter our dick in front of him to make him jealous. And with that, I'm pretty certain that is all Five Nights at Candy's 3 has to offer. Please let me know if I missed anything in the comments. That's also where this video wraps up. Overall, I do think the entire Candy's experience is fairly enjoyable as long as you don't count the second game, because that game is actually the most boring shit of all time. Like, holy shit, I hate it so much. I do think the hype around the lore is deserved, since it actually tells a very disturbing and interesting story. However, I do not think that the gameplay matches the lore enough for me to say this game is anything better than mediocre. With the first two games being way too easy, and the third game barely having anything to it in the night sections, and having the lore be told through a very boring and repetitive cutscene, I can't say this series is anything incredible. Yes, it is one of the first FNAF fan games ever made, and that has to go into consideration, but I'm not going to review a game differently based on the time it was released. This game could have been much better if the gameplay and story were just balanced better, and I don't feel like they are. But what do you think? Do you agree with me? Or do you think that I'm so horseshit wrong and that I should kill myself? Let me know in the comments. In my 5 Nights to Remember video, I asked you guys who your favorite Five Nights at Freddy's character was, which, yes, I recognize now I've already asked in a video, but shut up. My favorite answer is this one by Rewrite VA, who said Withered Foxy, because when they were a kid, he made them literally shit their pants, not figuratively. They saw Withered Foxy in FNAF 2 and actually physically defecated in their pants. Infamous FNAF fan games. I'm sure just saying that has already caused a few games to pop into mind. One Night at Flumpty's, Five Nights at Candy's, The Joy of Creation, Those Nights at Rachel's, and for some, another franchise comes to mind. One whose name is incredibly ironic, a game whose name is an emotion that everyone wishes to have, although the game causes nothing but the opposite. A game I truly cannot fathom the popularity of. Rest assured, the FNAF fan game series we're covering today is bad. Very, very bad. Join me today as I dive into Jolly, the FNAF fan game series that broke me. Strap in, because this is the longest video I have ever made. Opening into the first cutscene, we're greeted by the newspaper, reading that restaurants have been closing everywhere due to the new Circus Babies Pizza World. Tying this game into the official FNAF lore, the owner of Jolly Entertainment claims he will be competing with Circus Babies. And let me tell you, this fuck-ass restaurant doesn't stand a goddamn chance. Anyways, moving on to gameplay. Jolly seemed to think it'd be an amazing idea to take all of the good mechanics from Five Nights at Freddy's and say, yeah, I could make this worse. To start, we have a large window and one door. You'll notice that each are powered by a typical light switch, which is probably one of the stupidest things I've ever seen. On top of our cameras, we have a maintenance panel which gives us access to our generator. Basically, we have 100% power, like normal, and the generator has 150% power. So if our power gets low, we can use the generator's power to charge our power through this maintenance panel. This mechanic seems a little useless to me, honestly. Why not just give us more power or make our power last longer? Maybe just to give us another thing to distract us? I'm not totally sure. Your camera system is pretty bare bones. Jolly was made a long time ago. It's in the realm of series like Five Nights at Candy's in terms of age, so to an extent, I can forgive this game for being so dated. But rest assured, that doesn't mean I'm going to hold back on ripping it to shreds. Anyways, the cameras. I will give this game credit where it's due. The camera system actually has something I think is pretty cool. This game has 2 floors in the restaurant, with an elevator used to move from floor to floor. I'm not seeing any sight of stairs either, which I'm pretty sure is an OSHA violation just waiting to happen. You can see the camera of this elevator, and on it you can actually cause the elevator to change floors. Meaning that, if an animatronic rides the elevator up to your floor, you can quickly send the elevator back down. causing them to need to use another movement opportunity to move it back up. But don't get too excited about this mechanic, as it is completely obsolete when I start talking about how stupidly fucking hard this game is for no reason whatsoever. So let's talk about Night 1, which starts off strong by introducing two characters, Tweety and George. Tweety uses the elevator to get to your office. If you watch my full playthrough on my second channel, Dxtr Black, you'll be able to see me get plenty of enjoyment sending her stupid ass back downstairs every time she tried to come up to my floor. Oh, she didn't like that. She didn't like that I switched the elevator at all. Once she arrives at your office, you'll be able to see her in your window. Now pause. I want you to take a long look at this office. Notice how the window is literally nowhere near the fucking door? Yeah? So let me ask you, if you saw an animatronic in this window, would you ever, in a million years, think you need to close the door right when you see them? No? Well, you see, that's exactly what I thought too. But guess what, retard? You're completely wrong. For some reason, God knows why, the developer decided that this window was going to act like the windows from Five Nights at Freddy's 1, except neglecting the fact that the only reason the windows from FNAF 1 worked was because the window was directly next to the door, so it felt like there was no time before the character would arrive in your office. This game, that doesn't work, because you've placed the door a whole fucking football field in distance away from the window, so I'd have zero reason to think the animatronic currently staring at me would blow up my butthole like a Nachos Bel Grande. This is dumb, this is bad, really fucking bad. But whatever, really. Once you eventually figure out that's how this mechanic works, it should be pretty simple, right? Just close the door and wait for them to go away. Well, yes, exactly. Close the door and wait approximately, I don't know, 400 years. Because the rate at which these stupid robots move away from your door is pretty much zero. It'd probably be faster to just sit in one spot and wait to die, honestly. But whatever, eventually they'll leave and then you're free to open your door. Except, psych moron, since this one took so long to leave, another robot is at your window again! Yay! And who's at your window? Well, probably George. George? How'd you get here? George moves through your camera vents. You'll notice on the vent cams that you'll be able to seal the vent to prevent the animatronics from moving through them. But those probably don't work as you'd expect them to. Let's migrate for a second and talk about Five Nights at Freddy's 3. In that game, when Springtrap enters your vent, you can seal it off, which in that instance, Springtrap's neurons start firing and send a message to the body saying, hey, let's get out of this vent. Clearly, we're unable to continue moving forward. Not in Jolly. There are no neurons to fire in these robots' heads. In their mind, they're just thinking, vent was open minute ago. Why no vent open now? I wait until vent open again, then I continue move. Yeah, that's right. The animatronics will never leave the vents after you seal them, so sealing them really acts more like a stalling system, except closing the vents drains your power, and because of that, it makes closing your vents literally fucking pointless. So basically, if you haven't been paying attention thus far, George crawls through your vents no matter what you do and eats your balls like a sirloin steak. Fantastic. It wouldn't be a FNAF game without a music box-like mechanic, now would it? Of course not. And rest assured, this game has one too, using a character by the name of Antoinette. Antoinette appears on camera 11 tied up in some wires. You'll see a graphic on this camera referencing 4 wires holding Antoinette in place. Every once in a while, one of these wires holding him back will break and you'll have to repair it, which takes around, 900 decades. If all of the wires break, he'll eat your butt. You'll realize, especially on later nights, that a wire is broken on this guy pretty much constantly, so you'll barely have any time to peel your eyes away from the cameras to work on other things. But realistically, I personally had no problems dealing with Antoinette throughout my playthrough, which by the way, you can check out on my second channel, Dxtr Black. That's 2 plugs and we're just getting started. This is a long video, so sit your ass down. It also wouldn't be a game I fucking hate without post-night minigames that serve no purpose other than to be annoying. So let's talk about them. The post-night 1 minigame has you play as Jolly. All you have to do is walk into parts and service where you watch Antoinette go on an elevator and the minigame ends. That's it. Wasn't that just awful? Well, get ready because they're only going to get worse from here. Night 2. What new ass does this bring out? Well, do you remember George, the guy I talked about like 2 minutes ago? Well, Night 2 brings on Maxie. Why did I bring up George? Well, because Maxie is literally just George. She moves into the vent, then to your window. The only difference? Maxie is more aggressive than George is, and George is already pretty damn aggressive, so hearing that was amazing news for me. You know, I think I'd rather grind my ass on a cheese grater than worry about this stupid game that I hate so much. Night 2 post-night minigame time! In this minigame, we play as Jolly again. You, once again, walk into the parts and service room and see Antoinette tied up in wires. At the bottom of the screen, text appears stating, "It's okay." After that, you walk out of the room and you're attacked by an employee and the minigame ends. Riveting gameplay, what can I say? Night 3 brings on the big boy himself, Jolly. And I mean big boy. This dude is round as fuck. You push this guy over and his ass is gonna roll for a long time. He is incredibly boring, much like this entire game. He goes to the elevator and then to your window. He's literally just Tweety, but less aggressive, and seems to sit at your door for about 4 times as long, which is great because Tweety already sits there for ages. Something interesting about Jolly though, if you don't close the door in time, instead of killing you, he'll stand in your doorway looking at you, blocking you from closing the door using his astronomically sized belly. This motherfucker uses the asteroid belt to keep his pants up. Fat piece of shit robot. Night 3's post-night minigame. Is it fun? No. In this one, you play as Jolly. Surprise, surprise. A bunch of kids are standing around, so we quickly vacate the area because the only thing that scares me more than women are children. I hate children. We have to go to the kitchen. Inside, we see the employee from the last minigame who fucked our shit up. Except this time, he just fucks our shit up again. Aren't you getting so much lore and useful information from these minigames? What? You're not? Well, I can't say I'm surprised because these minigames are more useless than a white crayon. Nights 4 and 5 literally add nothing new to the central gameplay loop, so let's just talk about their post-night minigames. Night 4's minigame has you play as Tweety. Just kidding, you play as Jolly. You once again have to go to the kitchen. This time, the employee is preparing a meal. Once you move to the party room where you started, you get your shit rocked by the employee. Why? I have no idea. I guess this guy just hates us. Why he doesn't just destroy us is beyond me if we're causing him this much grief. Night 5's post-night minigame is actually a bit different. We play in the perspective of Jolly, seemingly dismantled in the kitchen. After looking around and being useless for a bit, text appears at the top of the screen that states, "Look at what you've done." And the minigame comes to an end. Something different, finally. Took long enough. But what does this tell us? Well, a whole lot of nothing, really. There's clearly a story being told somewhere here, but I can't for the life of me figure out what it is quite yet. Night 6 is nothing new, just hard as fuck. Really, the strategy in this game boils down to flash the light, wait, flash the light, wait, fix Antoinette when needed, and close the door when needed. Incredibly boring, not fun, a lot of RNG required because all the characters decide they want to forget how to walk once they reach our fucking window. But that's really all Jolly 1 has to offer. This game is incredibly fucking hard. I really didn't spend a lot of time talking about how difficult it is, but dear God, it is really unenjoyable to play. You can see my full playthrough over on my second channel, Dxtr Black. But now, let's move from a game that's way too hard to a game that's way too easy. Jolly 2. That's right, baby. Everybody give cheers for video game balancing. Hip hip. Fuck! Jolly 2 takes place on a cargo ship, where the animatronics are being moved to a different location. For some reason, we're also here, guarding the cargo. From what? Pirates? I have no fucking idea. This is such an odd plot point. I actually think it's kinda cool. Too bad the rest of the game is a snooze fest though. Let's talk about it. Night 1 introduces classic George and Bonnie. That's right. For some reason, this game is mixing in its own characters with the official FNAF characters. It's like a fan fiction, but in game form. And awful. Both in your cameras and on your left and right doors, you'll find a shock button. This button can be used to shock the animatronics. Can you believe it? When you shock an animatronic, it will cause them to go into a system reboot. Who really cares what it does? It makes them piss off, so use it when it makes sense. One extra thing to note is that the shock on the cameras is less effective than the ones at your doors, so the camera shock is really used to stall animatronics from reaching your doors, since the shocks on your doors have a very long cooldown time. Want to hear something really cool? Well, the cooldown wasn't enough to keep this game interesting. So what was added to keep the game just as uninteresting and even more fucking annoying as possible was the addition of 4 leaky pipes found behind you. Every once in a while, one of these pipes will start leaking gas. When the gas is leaking, you can't use your shocks. Want to guess why? Because the gas will cause the shock to travel to you. That literally does not make any fucking sense at all. While yes, gas can conduct electricity, given the wide space of moving electrons, the power that travels through the gas would be nowhere near powerful enough to cause any meaningful harm to us. But screw it. Whatever, sure. Let's imagine that does make sense. When one of these pipes is leaking, all you have to do is turn around and click it. That's it. Jesus Christ. You might as well have just not even bothered adding this mechanic because it can be solved in 2 seconds. Did not make this game more interesting at all. Anyways, the animatronics, how about those guys? Oh yeah, George and Bonnie. George moves around the cameras, meanders into your vents, which thankfully this time don't have a useless ceiling mechanic, and then reaches your left door. When he's there, shock that bitch. Easy. Bonnie is much the same, except he attacks your right door instead. Very boring, I don't care. Oh wait, wanna hear something super crazy, fun, and silly? You can't see the animatronics when they're at your door. Can you hear them? No! What you have to do is constantly be watching the cameras, which is something I actually think this game does really well. It forces you to watch the cameras without a stupid fucking music box mechanic. Characters never move backwards in Jolly 2, so if a character is at a corner door camera one moment and then the next they're not, that means they're at your door and you need to shock them. Don't think I'm going to start gushing over this game. This watching cameras mechanic was done well. The rest of everything else ever was not. Night 2 introduces Chica. She's actually pretty interesting, except the funny part is that I just lied, because she's actually not interesting in the slightest. All she does is travel to the middle of the map and then attack your left door like George. This is some I got the right answer but used the wrong formula animatronic.
How the fuck did you get that answer? No, it's the right answer, but you didn't use my method, you little fucking shit. I'll tell you what you've done. Essentially, you've just shit in my fucking mouth. Do you like that? Do you like shitting in people's mouths, you little freak?
Oh hey, I should probably mention the post-night plush trap style minigame, shouldn't I? After each night, you'll be able to play a minigame called Time to Sleep with Foxy, which, by the way, is the only time he makes an appearance in this game. Time to Sleep consists of you attempting to take a nap in the cargo ship, but Foxy thinks it would be really funny to tickle your feet and make you squeal. While you sit on your bed, your sleep meter will increase. However, you'll be able to see 2 entrances to your room where Foxy can attack. If you listen closely, you'll be able to hear him moving on either side. When you do, you'll have to go over to that door and flash your light at him. Note, when you're not on your bed, your sleep meter decreases, and Foxy is pretty damn aggressive, so have fun never making progress in your entire life. If you manage to beat the minigame in time, you get to skip the first 2 hours of the next night, and this is crucial. Not because the nights are hard, but because they're so incredibly fucking boring I'd rather put a gun in my mouth than play them ever again. Night 3 brings along Freddy. Spoiler alert, he's boring. Kind of. He at least does something a little different. Rather than attack one of your doors, he can attack either. It's still the same method of stopping him, but he can just choose to attack either door, so I guess that's progress into being interesting land. Nothing else much more to note here, pretty boring overall. I will say it's on this night that using your camera shock to stall the characters starts to become useful, so I guess that's something. Night 4 introduces the man, the myth, the literal wrecking ball of a robot, classic Jolly.
Brother, this guy stinks!
Jolly does something crazy that actually makes this game pretty fun. Psych! Moron, I fucking lied. All he does is attack your right door exactly like every other animatronic does. Somehow, the main character of the game is less interesting than one of the others, which is just crazy to me that you could even make that happen. Nights 5 and 6 are just harder versions of Night 4, with nothing changing. Oh, and also, they're still not very hard at all, so that's cool. Well, I guess all that's left to talk about are the post-night minigames. Dexter, haven't you already talked about Time to Sleep? Well, yes, I have. However, this game also added in stupid boring ass shit 8-bit minigames just like the first game, except somehow managed to make them even more boring. Let's talk about them. Night 1's post-night minigame has you playing as a security guard from Freddy Fazbear's, attempting to stop Afton from luring a kid into the bathroom, where in this universe you would presumably kill them rather than in the back room like in the actual game. Why this detail is changed even though they're adding their story to the original is beyond me. Night 2's post-night minigame has you playing as a security guard from Freddy Fazbear's, attempting to stop Afton from luring a kid into the bathroom. Night 3's post-night minigame has you playing as a security guard from Freddy Fazbear's, attempting to stop Afton from luring a kid into the bathroom. Night 4's post-night minigame has you playing as a security guard from Freddy Fazbear's, attempting to stop Afton from luring a kid into the bathroom. Are you getting sick of this yet? Night 5's post-night minigame has you playing as a security guard from Freddy Fazbear's, attempting to stop Afton from luring a kid into a bathroom. Wasn't this segment totally worth your time? No? Well, you watched it anyways. So basically, if your brain doesn't work, Afton killed the kids. Wow, shocker. I would have never been able to figure that out without your expert opinion game. Thank you. There is a true ending in this game, however. If you die on night 5, 6, or go to the extras menu and click a small jolly sprite in the corner, you'll be brought to a minigame exactly like Sister Location, where you have to strategically throw burgers into the mouths of some fat-ass kids. After that, you can collect a bonus hamburger and go to the second floor of the minigame and stand on an invisible platform. After that, jump to the right side of the screen and you'll be teleported to a new minigame. In this new minigame, you'll find a girl in a pink shirt crying like a bitch. Once she sees Jolly, she hugs him, but Afton quickly grabs her and we cut to a cutscene where we're in front of an arcade machine, slowly panning out, and the game ends, giving you the true ending. What have I gathered from this? Well, in one of the post-night minigames, we see that it's Bring Your Daughter to Work Day, which I'm pretty sure has never been an event that has ever taken place at a restaurant in history. But I'm gonna take a solid guess that the girl that hugged Jolly in the final minigame was the daughter of the security guard we've been playing as. This game is really pulling at my heartstrings, guys. But that's all Jolly 2 has to offer. This game is somehow marginally worse than the first, which I think deserves a medal because after playing the first game, I didn't think that was possible. Jolly 2 is so incredibly easy that you could probably beat it blindfolded. None of the mechanics are engaging in any way, and the story in no way makes up for the gameplay's shortcomings. Overall, it's a very terrible game that I don't think you should ever play in a million years. Let's move on to the final game in the series, which unfortunately for me, is broken up into 2 chapters, so it's borderline 2 more games I have to cover, and I'm not excited at all, because it's these 2 games that really began to break me. Jolly 3 Chapter 1, aka Where the Rage Begins. How do I even begin? Well, I suppose I should start at the beginning. That would probably make the most sense. The game begins with a cutscene of a car driving to a factory and our player running inside. With a zoom in on a broken Jolly animatronic, his eyes light up, letting us know he's ready to open up a can of whoop ass on us. In this game, our goal is to go into an abandoned Jolly factory and grab some artifacts, which makes it sound like this is about to be like Indiana Jones. However, while those movies are great, this game is not. Loading into this game's control room, which acts as the office, I'm immediately greeted to the shitty fucking smell of Five Nights at Freddy's Sister Location. What do I mean by that? Well, open your eyes and take a look at this office. Does this not look at all slightly familiar to you? If it doesn't, then you're stupid or have never seen Sister Location before, because this office is pretty much identical to the control room from Sister Location, with 2 large windows on each side of us that can be lit up via a light button and an exit directly in front of us. In Sister Location, it was a vent. In this game, it's a giant door. Flashing our lights, on the left we can see Tweety, and on the right we can see either Maxie or George. I'm pretty sure this is Maxie, since I'm pretty sure the animatronic that sits next to Jolly on the cameras is George, but it could be the other way around. Also in the office is a big lever. Pulling it will release gas from the pipes on the ceiling. That gas fries animatronics. Oh boy, can you take a guess where this is going? That's right, this game is about to mix elements of Sister Location, which is terrible, and the stand in your office mechanic from Five Nights at Freddy's 2, which is also pretty terrible. We're already set up for a great time. But I can't go any further without complaining about one of the worst things to ever come out of any game, literally ever, designed by anyone: the Click Team mouse. More specifically, the Sister Location Click Team mouse. If you've ever played Sister Location, you'll know exactly what I'm talking about. But if you've only ever seen people play this game and Sister Location, let me fill you in on the horrible experience that it is. Click Team Fusion, the engine used to create most FNAF fan games and every official FNAF game up until Ultimate Custom Night, has a few interesting quirks that almost every game that uses them suffers from. The main problem is in games like Five Nights at Freddy's games that try to fake a 3D effect by having you look back and forth. A lot of the time, especially in Sister Location, you'll be able to see weird distortions on the side of the screen, making the entire game look like it's shaped like a fucking cylinder. And because of this, the mouse has a pretty significant and horrendous issue. While you look from side to side in the office, since we're not actually in a 3D space and what we're looking at is actually just a 2D image being warped to appear 3D, you'll notice that as the mouse hits the exact center of the screen, it looks like the mouse gets locked on the X-axis. And as soon as the screen reaches the end of the 2D image, it looks like the mouse unlocks and can continue to move freely. While I say the mouse is, quote, locked, it actually really isn't. It's moving just as freely as it would when it's on the sides of the screen. But because we're faking a 3D environment in an engine that can't natively do 3D, it leads to this awkward and janky mouse movement that not only looks weird, but feels even weirder. I cannot fucking stand this mouse. I hated Sister Location for it, and I hate Jolly for it even more, because this game is already just hot dog shit ass as it is. But anyways, back to actually talking about the gameplay. Using this gas lever drains our gas. No shit. Where else were you thinking it went? In our cameras, we can open up a special menu, and in this menu, we can refill this gas supply. Where is the gas coming from? Fuck you, that's where. Also on the cameras, you'll see a fan meter. Each camera has its own fan. If the fan ever breaks, which trust me, they will be doing very frequently, your vision will begin to go dark and you will die unless you fix them. Fixing them is easy. There's actually a repair fan button right on each camera. But how do you tell which camera's fan is broken when there's an error? I'm sure you could take a pretty solid guess, and you'd probably be right. You just have to check every single fucking camera until you find the right one. And this will be incredibly annoying due to a character I'll talk about in a minute, but that character is not active on night 1. So who is? There are only 3 characters active on night 1. 3 may sound like a lot for a first night, but one of them is kind of different, so we'll cover him first. In case you have forgotten, Jolly has injected itself into the official game's lore, so all of the original FNAF animatronics are here again, just like in Jolly 2. Metal Foxy is active on night 1. Why are the FNAF characters called metal? I don't really know. Were they not metal before? I have no clue. If at any point one of your camera fans completely breaks, Foxy will appear in the darkness and kill you. That's all he does. I don't know why Jolly hates giving Foxy actual in-night mechanics, but whatever. One character I really don't ever have to worry about, and I actually never even saw because I'm just so goddamn good at gaming. Which, by the way, you can see on my second channel, Dxtr Black. Also, fuck it, while I'm shilling the Black channel, go subscribe to my third channel, Dxtr Blue, too. You've made it this far in the video, so you must be enjoying my rambling at least a little bit, and I do a bunch of that over on Dxtr Blue. Over there, I play any games that aren't Five Nights at Freddy's related, so I encourage you to go check it out. Thanks. Back to the cesspool. Another character introduced on this night is Withered Tweety. Withered Tweety is as boring as a character can get. She pisses around on the cameras and eventually jumps headfirst into your office to give you head. But pause. Think, dumbass. It's a robot. Don't have intercourse with it. It's not even a hot robot, so I don't even know why you'd want to anyways. Once she's in your office, just spray some gas on her and she'll leave. The final character introduced on this night is Withered Maxie. She does literally the exact same thing Tweety does. meanders around the camera, and eventually wanders her way into your office. Same shit, different suit, really. Spray her with some of your liquid hot ass gas and she'll run out of the room holding your nose because you smell like shit. As much as I'd love to just start talking about night 2 in order to get this shit over with as fast as possible, we unfortunately have some sister location level bullshit ass minigames to talk about that take place between each night. So let's talk about the first night's fuck ass minigame. The whole point of these minigames is to find these relics that we came to this building looking for. Throughout this game, we're talking to a guy named Theo over the phone, who instead of coming into the building with us to help out, decided he'd rather be a pussy bitch and just call us on the phone the whole time like a clingy girlfriend. Theo leads us into test room 1 and tells us to find a locked safe. After doing so, the security system in the room goes off, and of course, the animatronics are a part of that system. And of course, Tweety is in the room with us. Theo tries to hack the safe but can't, so he sends us a program on our phone that we can use to force the security system off and then use to crack the safe. And for some reason, this program has us play some fuck-ass minigame instead of actually being useful. The goal of this game is to pulse electricity from one door to another, and guide that electricity by using arrows. Every time you click on a square, it creates an arrow, and subsequent clicks turn that arrow 90 degrees. You get it, the idea is simple. So why am I complaining? Well, you see these 20 dots on the left side of your screen? Yeah? You have to do this fuck-ass shit 20 goddamn times. And what makes this take even longer than it already would take? Tweety. Tweety works similarly to Funtime Freddy in his minigame from Sister Location, wherein, while you're trying to play the minigame, Tweety slowly creeps towards you. Every once in a while, you'll have to drop your phone and flash your lights at her over and over again until she goes away. Want to hear the best part? She's voice acted, just like Sister Location, and she only has about 3 fucking lines. And since this minigame takes so long to complete, you can bet your ass we're going to hear each line about 30 times. Doesn't this just sound like a blast? But after you complete all 20 randomly generated puzzles, the security system shuts off and we're free to continue on to night 2. However, before I begin talking about this night, I want to make something clear about the metal animatronics. I do not know exactly what nights they will be introduced for certain. The wiki doesn't inform me, and I don't feel like surfing through hours of Jolly footage just to figure it out. I'll take a guess on the metal animatronics, but keep in mind it might be wrong. The non-official FNAF characters, I do know. Just thought I'd put that out there before we continue. Just kidding! There's still a shitty post-night 8-bit minigame to talk about first. Don't you just hate being alive? In this minigame, we play as a guy named Eric who just got a job at the Jolly restaurant. We're shown around by our boss and told specifically not to go in this room. Afterwards, we go right into that room and get threatened by our boss on the first day. Wonderful. Oh, also, if you walk out of bounds, you can find Antoinette just kind of fucked everywhere on the walls. Anyways, now we can talk about night 2. Night 2 introduces 2 new characters, George and Metal Chica. Let's get George out of the way because he's the most boring. Can you guess how he works? If you said exactly the same as Tweety and Maxie but with a different movement pattern, then you'd be correct. Moves around the cameras, enters your office, spray him with gas, and he pisses off. Repeat. Now we can talk about the most annoying fucking character in this whole game. Earlier, I mentioned that there was a character that in combination with your broken fan problem becomes incredibly infuriating. Metal Chica is that very character. Metal Chica has a random chance to appear on a camera every time you switch cameras or open your camera. She's basically the same as Phantom Balloon Boy from Five Nights at Freddy's 3, except with one key annoying difference. When you see Phantom Balloon Boy in Five Nights at Freddy's 3, all you have to do is either close your camera or switch cameras to avoid his attack. Nope, not Metal Chica, she sucks more than your mom. When you see her on your cameras, your only option is to close the cameras. If you just switch cameras, even though she's disappeared from your sight, she will still jump scare you. This may seem like such a small thing to bitch about. Oh, Dxtr, you're just nitpicking. It's not really that bad. Fuck you. Yes, it is. I guarantee that if you've played FNAF games before, you've grown accustomed to mechanics just like this. And for some reason, this is the only one that doesn't let you just switch cameras to avoid it. So I guarantee you'll have built up some muscle memory that will lead to you just to switch cameras. But guess what, fucker? That doesn't work anymore. No, it's not hard, but do you know how annoying it is to try and break that habit of just switching cameras? It's a bitch. And of course, when there's a broken fan, you have to already quickly swap between cameras at light speed. So you'll already have your muscles set on focusing on switching cameras as fast as possible to find the broken one. Oh, were you focused on watching the repair fan button that you didn't notice Metal Chica was on one of your cameras for a fraction of a fucking second? Well, guess what? Even though you looked at her for no time at all, get jump scared, dickhead. Ivan G, fuck you for this dumbass mechanic right here. However, there is one small redeemable thing about getting jump scared by any metal animatronic that isn't Foxy, and that's that you won't lose the night, just like the phantoms from Five Nights at Freddy's 3. Instead, your gas system will just fucking break, and you'll have to repair it on your cameras and then completely refill your gas, which on early nights isn't a big deal. But on later nights, it does become a small problem because of how frequently animatronics will be in your office drooling all over you. Alright, let's talk about the next bullshit post-night scavenger hunt for goodies. On this night, you actually have the option of picking 2 different rooms. You'll eventually have to go to the other one anyways though, so I'll just go over which one I chose on this night. I chose to go into Maxie's room, which is a mistake I will regret for the rest of my life, because this section is fucking brutal. Same deal as last time. Find a safe, trigger the security alarm, do some bullshit on your phone while defending yourself from an animatronic. The difference? Well, the thing you have to do on your phone this time is actually more AIDS than AIDS itself. You will be sent lines of code by Theo to build a program that will shut down the system's firewall so that Theo can hack the security system and the safe, even though he's already done this exact thing once before. The lines of code are case sensitive, and you will only have a certain amount of time to write each line before it refreshes and you have to start all over. So if you're not a fast typer, then I'm sorry, this will be a challenge for you. I have no idea exactly how many lines you need to type, but if I had to guess, it would probably be somewhere in the ballpark of between 20 and 30. This is bullshit. Maxie will be attacking you the whole time. Defending yourself is easy. Just put your phone down and stare at her. The problem? She takes forever to move, and the timer on your phone will still be counting down. This minigame takes so goddamn fucking cocksucking long to complete. I think it took me probably a solid 20 minutes to finish on my first playthrough, which you can find on my second channel, Dxtr Black. I'm so fucking drained, guys, you don't understand what this series is doing to me, and writing this script, having to relive my trauma that I had thought I had put behind me is absolutely brutal. So please, let's just move on. After completing that bullshit, we move on to the Night 2 post-night minigame 8-bit minigame. Did you catch all that? I don't really care. Let me tell you, this minigame isn't a minigame, it's just a cutscene. Eric is bringing his daughter to work with him, and if you remember, this is an event that happened in one of the 8-bit minigames from Jolly 2. Eric walks into the building and very quickly walks back out to tell his daughter Zoe to not enter the building. He doesn't explain why, but begs her to stay in the car before re-entering the building. And that's where the minigame ends. You know, sometimes when I'm playing a game, I think, wow, this gameplay is truly unrivaled by any other game I've ever played. This game is not one of those games, by the way. Night 2 introduces 2 new characters that I hate, Metal Bonnie and Metal Freddy. Metal Freddy is less rage baity, so let's talk about him first. Metal Freddy has a chance to appear in your office at any time. When he does, all you have to do is flip up the camera within 3 seconds and he'll go away. If you don't, he'll jump scare you and fuck your gas system, which again, can be a huge problem on later nights given how often someone will be in your office. Now, let's talk about Metal Bonnie, and why I hated him so fucking much until I discovered the mega ultimate epic ass Metal Bonnie strategy. Metal Bonnie has a chance to appear in your windows every time you flash your light in them. If he appears anytime you do this, he will immediately jump scare you and fuck your gas supply. In a FNAF game where lights are always a crucial mechanic, this may sound brutal, but you haven't heard about my mega ultimate epic ass Metal Bonnie strategy yet. Basically, the way you perform the mega ultimate epic ass Metal Bonnie strategy is just by not flashing your lights ever. Yeah, forgot to mention that this is literally a worthless mechanic, because you never need to see out of these windows to ever progress through the night at all. It took me an embarrassingly long time to figure that out, and you can see how stupid I was in my full playthrough on my second channel, Dxtr Black. I shouldn't have done it. I shouldn't have done it. I shouldn't have done it. I shouldn't have done it and I did it. I knew it was gonna happen. I knew it was a possibility and I did it anyways. Now, after beating that night, we can talk about the lovely night 3 post-night minigame. So which door are we gonna pick here? Let's do this one. Oh, fuck, what the dick? Okay, well, we just got jumped and ganked by Antoinette. What the hell happened? Wait, where are we? Oh shit, we're on a conveyor belt or something. It's at this moment some random bitch starts talking at us.
What brings you here? In this harmonious place of ours?
Apparently, she knows we're stealing, and she's about to F us in the A. The conveyor belt turns on and we start getting moved towards a giant fucking spiky crusher that would never under any circumstance ever be in a factory. We're shown we have to rapidly spam the up and down arrows on our keyboard to stop ourselves from dying. When I tell you that you have to spam fast as fuck, I mean it. However fast you think you can spam, I bet it's just barely fast enough. If you stop for even a fraction of a second, you will launch towards that crusher at fucking Mach 25. And how long do you have to spam for? 2 full minutes. 2 full minutes of pressing 2 keys quite literally as fast as you can without ever slowing in your tempo even once. I'm shaking as fuck. Come on, bro. Come on, bro. Keep fighting. Keep fighting. I'm shitting myself on this motherfucking conveyor belt right now, bro. Don't make me do it. I'll short my pants on this fucking conveyor belt. On God, I swear to God. Fuck me, I'm gonna die. I'm dead as fuck. Say goodbye to my children. I don't have children. Children suck. Fuck, I'm shitting my pants and pissing them too. I'm so sorry. Oh my God, fuck, I'm gonna die as fuck. I'm shitting myself. It's all down to my shoes and my socks. It's all stuck in my This right here is the worst fucking thing throughout this entire series. It truly does not get worse than this. My arms fucking hurt badly after finishing this section. It actually took me 2 attempts because I couldn't do it for long enough on my first try. This shit sucks, and it sucks hard. People say that Jolly 3 Chapter 1 is the best game in the franchise. They're fucking wrong. This is actually the worst shit I've ever played through in my entire life. I would rather sandpaper my ball sack than ever touch this stupid shit ass section ever again. Now, after that disaster, does the Night 3 post-night minigame, post-minigame, 8-bit minigame do anything that's interesting? Well, yes, actually it does. I was pleasantly surprised at how interesting this minigame actually was. In it, we play as Zoe, who, like a rebel, disobeys her dad and enters the building anyways. It's incredibly dark inside, and after a bit of wandering, she's captured by Eric's boss, who, by the way, was William Afton if you couldn't guess. We're shown Zoe crying in a dark room, and we hear the dialogue between William, who's in the dark back room, and Eric, who's locked outside. Inside of the back room along with Zoe are 4 other children, and we get to hear William argue with Eric as he brutally murders all 4 children, leaving Zoe for last, and forcing Eric to listen and watch as his daughter is murdered in front of his eyes. This is some of the most demented shit I've ever seen, but I actually think it's really cool. Not often in FNAF games do we ever get this close to seeing the terrible acts committed by the villains. And while no, I'm not eager to watch child murder, I think portraying it through these 8-bit minigames is a great way to let the game get serious without actually showing anything horrendously vile. Good job, Jolly. This cutscene is actually really cool, and I can appreciate that. But let's get back to the shit show. Night 4 introduces Jolly himself. Can you guess what he does? Fuck you, he just walks into your office, gas him and he's gone. Yes, every single non-metal character in this game acts exactly the same way. I'm not kidding, they're all identical, just with different patterns for how they get around the map. This is actually such garbage gameplay, I don't really have anything to compare it to. It's just embarrassing and a spit in the face to the player. Want a cherry on top? Jolly is the last character introduced in this game, which means Night 5 is going to be the same repetitive bullshit, but just with some more RNG. Aren't you excited? Now, for the post-night minigame, we finally get to go into the room we tried to get into last night, and the room I chose again could have been chosen on Night 2. If you chose this room, you'd be forced into the maxi room on this night. This one is really easy. All you do is find the safe and type in the code Theo gives you. That's it. No security fuck up, just typing in the code and you're home free. The only thing is that the lights to the room turn off and you get a long ass monologue from the girl who tried to squish you to death in the previous night. It's just the typical, "You don't understand our pain" bullshit you've heard 1,000 times before. When the lights turn back on, you can see the faces of the 4 main animatronics, implying that the soul in Jolly is Zoe, Eric's daughter. Zoe tells us to fix the past so history doesn't repeat itself, and then we're free to continue without any bullshit minigame that makes me want to rip my foreskin into pieces and throw them into the air like confetti. The Night 4 post-night minigame, post-minigame, 8-bit minigame consists of Eric on a boat, which I can only guess is the cargo ship from Jolly 2. We have to dodge guards' flashlights to stay out of their sight, and eventually jump into the back of an unmarked van. Which, by the way, I would never suggest anybody do because that's just a terrible idea. But after that, the minigame is over and we can move on. And please, dear God, let us move on because I'm starting to run out of steam here. Before we begin night 5, Theo calls us and tells us he wants us to grab a fucking animatronic out of the factory and bring it with us. Are you fucking serious right now? You want me to grab one of the fucking murder robots? Are you out of your fucking mind? I think you're crazy. Eat my ass. I'm gonna do it anyways though, so I guess let's just get through the 5th night. I'm not gonna bore you by talking about it because again, it's just a more RNG bullshit version of night 4, so let's not waste any time and talk about what happens after you beat it. After completing night 5, we head back to the Octagon and get a call from Theo. He thinks there might be an unactivated animatronic somewhere deeper in the factory. He apologizes and said that he knows we're tired, but to think about all of the money and recognition we'll get if we can pull this off. This seems like the most classic case of manipulation I've ever seen. But even knowing that, let's continue to fall for it every single time anyways. It's what happens in every single relationship, right? And hey, if we've all made it through one of those, what's stopping us from doing it one more time in Jolly? But this is where Jolly 3 Chapter 1 ends, with us heading deeper into the factory on the hunt for an animatronic to take back with us. Will this end up working out for us? We'll find out next week in the next Dxtr White video. No, I'm just kidding. We're finishing this up now. All right, let's wrap this shit up, huh? Jolly 3 Chapter 2 continues directly after Chapter 1. Who would have thought? We travel down an elevator into the Jolly Entertainment underground facility in search of a deactivated animatronic. Theo marks a spot on our map, and we actually get to travel around the building much like the movement system in A Shadow Over Freddy's, which by the way is a game I've covered on this channel on Dxtr White. You should watch that video after you watch this one. And fuck it, subscribe to Dxtr Black and Dxtr Blue because this video is sucking my soul out of my body right now. Anyways, after arriving at a door, we scan a key card we have and a robot tells us that we don't have access and to quote, return to our quarters in turn. This audibly confuses Theo and reveals that we are playing as someone who has previously worked for Jolly Entertainment. And if I had to guess who, my money would be on Eric being our main character throughout the games. After a bit more exploring, we enter a security office and a tape begins to play from the CEO of Jolly Entertainment, teaching us how to be night guards. We're told that we'll be put to the test before getting the job, and that he's placed 2 deadly robots in the building to defend ourselves from. Really? This is how you test your interns? Fuck, I see why we quit. But whatever. Instead of letting him explain it, I'm going to explain it because I'm the YouTuber, and it would seem lazy if I just played the phone call out in its entirety, no matter how badly I want to do that so that I don't have to write about this fuck-ass game any longer. Let's get the biggest elephant out of the room, the camera system. This camera system is like nothing I've ever seen in a FNAF game ever, and I'm gonna be honest, I actually really like it. It took me a bit to get used to it, but it's actually pretty cool. The cameras are split up into 4 quarters. Clicking on any of them will zoom in and give you a normal looking FNAF camera map, but with only 3 to 4 buttons on each. Meaning if you want to check on another camera, you have to exit the quarter you're in and select another one. I feel like this makes the pressure of going through the cameras just a bit more interesting and tense, and I think that's something these games have been missing, so good job, Jolly. Anyways, there are only 2 animatronics that can actually end your night in this entire game, and go figure, they're both active on night 1. These characters are Jolly and George. You'll notice in this game that Jolly has taken his head off, and a skinned human head can be seen in its place. Just something Sigma I thought I'd bring up, but yes, this is Jolly. Both characters act the same way, just attacking different doors in your office. Once they get to your office, you'll have to jam their signal. Fun fact, you can tell George is at your office by his glowing eyes like he's straight out of Five Nights at Candy's, so dealing with him is super easy. Jolly, however, is a bit of a tricky one. You cannot see his eyes at the door. So how do you know he's there? Now's a good time to talk about the maintenance panel located behind you. If you turn around, you'll find this panel, and it has 3 tabs located on it. Let's talk about the Jammer tab first, since I've already mentioned it. Going to the Jammer tab, you'll be able to activate the Jammer. Damn, did you need a PhD to figure that one out, fuckface? When Jolly or George is at your door, you have to use the Jammer to make them go away. But then the Jammer has to recharge, which takes a pretty long damn time. If you ever use the Jammer when nobody is at your door, the cooldown will last even longer, so really make sure you know where everyone is. I mentioned not being able to see Jolly at your door. Well, first of all, watching your cameras is important, so that'd probably help. Keeping your eyes on George isn't a big deal because you can see him, but Jolly is someone you're going to want to watch. He actually has 2 paths to your left door. The long way, aka the way you want him to go, and the short way, aka the way you don't want him to go. I'm sure you can guess why. Ding ding ding! Because of the Jammer cooldown! Good job! Here, you get a cookie. Anyways, you can always double check where both George and Jolly are by using the radar tab on your maintenance panel. I'm sure you can guess what it does. It pings both of their locations on the map. This way you can tell for sure that Jolly is at your door if context clues on the camera aren't enough for you. However, every time you use the radar there is an incredibly long cooldown, so only use it when you really can't find Jolly. But woohoo! You beat the night and we get to move on to the post-night 1 minigame, which by the way are way better than the post-night minigames from chapter 1. You'll be sat in front of a computer. You're tasked with decrypting 10 files each night, which each take a decent amount of time. However, while you're doing this, you'll be being attacked by Rusty Freddy, Bonnie, Chica, and Foxy. Their mechanics are very easy. Every once in a while, you'll hear the sound of a door opening. When you hear it, you'll need to quickly turn around. You'll easily be able to tell which door has been opened, and you need to run over to that door and listen for breathing, just like Five Nights at Freddy's 4. If you hear breathing, you need to flash your light to scare the animatronic away and then lock the door. If you don't hear breathing, then all you need to do is lock the door without flashing your light. Then go back to decrypting. Decrypt all the files and you're home free. All of the animatronics act the same, by the way, so I'm not covering each of them here. Night 2 introduces 2 new characters, Shadow Tweety and Shadow Maxie. Shadow Maxie is not ass, so let's talk about her first. She is literally exactly the same as Metal Chica from chapter 1, spawning on a camera and fucking you up if you don't put the camera down, except she acts much like a shadow puppet from Five Nights at Freddy's 3, where she'll fuck up your vision and stun you for a while if she jump scares you. So definitely don't let that happen or you will probably die. Shadow Tweety, on the other hand, is a dick. She will slowly start building herself in your office the longer you look forward. Turning around will make her slowly deconstruct. If she ever finishes building herself, she'll jump scare you and cause a ventilation error. Oh wait, shit, I didn't talk about errors. Just like Five Nights at Freddy's 3, you have 3 errors: ventilation, camera, and AC, all of which can happen at complete random, and you'll have to waste a bunch of time repairing them on your maintenance panel. Choosing not to fix any of them can obviously lead to some major issues, so how about you just do it, you little bitch? But that's really about it. Complete the night and you move on to the decryption minigame again, and then back to the night section. No new characters are ever added, it's just harder and harder every time. Same thing goes for the decryption minigame, so there's really not much more to talk about until the end of the 5th night. After completing the 5th night, we get a short cutscene letting us know we have passed the test and we can work here full time, which also explains why we have a keycard in the first place. Theo gives us a call and tells us that the oxygen system in the building has been tampered with. He gives us coordinates to the control room and we have to book it through the building to fix it. It's at this time I get to tell you about a bunch of fucking bullshit. This time, while roaming around the building, George is active and moving around too. And getting around him is the most fucked bullshit on the face of the earth. I literally don't know how to describe how to beat him because I really don't even know what I did. It seems like every single possible movement ends in a death. You have this hold your breath mechanic you're supposed to use, but there is no visual cue to let you know when you're safe to pass him. What you're supposed to do is hold your breath and wait, then exhale and walk past him. You might think, oh, hold your breath until he leaves. But he never leaves. He just stands there, menacingly, staring you down no matter what you do. If you don't hold your breath for just the right amount of time with literally no sign as to how long that's supposed to be, you're fucked and you have to listen to bitch-ass Theo's cutscene again. This took me a stupid amount of time to achieve, and it's honestly the most unenjoyable part of this chapter. But what happens if you get to the control room? Well, you get the misfortune of playing the most brutal and unforgiving night section this series has ever designed. The goal is to stabilize 10 rooms in the facility, but while this is happening, you're getting fucked by George and Jolly. In this office is a window and a door, just like the first Jolly game. You will have to check the light, and if someone is there, close the door until they leave. But here's the catch, you have a power system, and a power system that goes down so incredibly quickly it isn't even funny. When I tell you that you have to play this night perfectly, I'm not exaggerating. Checking the light is a bad idea. Instead, you should listen for sound cues to let you know a character has arrived. When you hear the sound cue, you shouldn't close the door right away because it'll waste too much power. So wait about 3 seconds and then close the door. If you've timed it right, you should very quickly hear them leave. When they leave, you should quickly check the light and open the door. The reason you need to check the light now is because the sound of a character leaving can actually cancel out the sound of one arriving, which is complete bullshit by the way, and for every microsecond that you're not pressing the light button or the door button, you need to make damn sure you're stabilizing the rooms, because if you aren't for even a second, I promise that you will lose this night. I'm being so serious. You have to play this section perfectly. No mistakes, no misclicks. It is fucking brutal the whole fucking time. If you want to get a really good feel for how bad it is, you can check out my playthrough over on my second channel, Dxtr Black. But if you can manage to complete this fucking brutal section of the game, we can continue. Walking through the corridors of the factory, we enter an elevator. Following it down, we reach a massive room. And inside, we find the supposedly deactivated Springtrap animatronic, and Jolly comes to a close. But I'm not done yet. Usually, when I write a script like this, I'm able to get out all of my frustrations. But no, not this time. This hour-long video hasn't been enough for me. This game has put me through so much bullshit! I've been holding back way too much, I think I'm gonna fucking explode! Some words to say, so I said them. I'm still fed up with this shit, so I grab my pad and my pencil. I'm about to go in, cause gotta be putting my foot down, a foot in. I cannot stop right now, I'm getting motion. I cannot call fit now and close all the curtains, cause George looking me up and down while licking on his lips. And Jolly coming up behind, grab my ass, said you mine, bitch. Nah, I don't got time for this shit. I got all these bitches climbing on me, they be beating on my ass like Muhammad Ali. I got a lot of emotions up inside me, better be believing one of them ain't Jolly. They be breaking on my back, Bruce Lee, even knowing that this shit is really fucking easy. I got a lot of emotions up inside me, better be believing one of them ain't Jolly. I'm really getting sick of this shtick. Tweety keep on grabbing on my dick and keep on twisting it. Maybe I would like it, but you're just a shitty Chica twin. Use the beat to eat my ass and wash it down with all my piss. Pissy bitch, you're pissing me off, so you deserve that. I'm pulling out these insults like they're rabbits in a hat. Jolly coming back for more, but had a heart attack. He be fat eating Big Macs, king of Big Macs. I got all these bitches climbing on me, they be beating on my ass like Muhammad Ali. I got a lot of emotions up inside me, better be believing one of them ain't Jolly. They be breaking on my back, Bruce Lee, even knowing that this shit is really fucking easy. I got a lot of emotions up inside me, better be believing one of them ain't Jolly. One more verse, I'll disperse. This game's so bad, I call it a big ol' booty curse. George would beat my ass, but he be getting fruity first. But he got no gas, so he ain't giving me the jerk. Maxie's accidentally glancing at me, slap the bitch back forth with my fat meat. Actually, Antoinette's coming at me. Rope bunny, bitch, your wires are still attached, G. I got all these bitches climbing on me, they be beating on my ass like Muhammad Ali. I got a lot of emotions up inside me, better be believing one of them ain't jolly. They be breaking on my back, Bruce Lee, even knowing that this shit is really fucking easy. I got a lot of emotions up inside me, better be believing one of them ain't jolly. And with that, we're finally done covering the Jolly series. I want to mention that at one point there was going to be a Jolly 4 with a Game Jolt page existing for it. But as of now, that game has been cancelled, and it doesn't seem like we'll be getting any updates for it, but I'll keep my eyes peeled. I also know about a series called Jolly Bees, which is supposed to be connected to these games in some way, but I've not played them and I know nothing about them, and even if I did, there's no way in fuck I'd want to cover them in this video. It's already long enough as it is. Overall, I think Jolly is a pretty bad fan game series. I know there's a lot of nostalgia behind it for some people, and that me saying that will probably not sit well with most. So if you're upset with me for dogging all over a game you really like, I can totally understand that. But I thank you greatly for being able to make it this far. I would be lying if I said I had a good time playing this series, but I will say that Jolly 3 Chapter 2 was definitely my favorite. It feels like it was the most under control and sound in its mechanics. Sure, it was repetitive, but that allowed me to have ample time to develop a good strategy, which I felt was very satisfying. I wouldn't want to play this series ever again, but it's clear a lot of love and care went into creating it, and that's something I would never make fun of. While this game might not be for me, I think it's great if it's something for you, and working on this video has been an interesting roller coaster. I've never spent this long in a video before, and I really hope that the outcome is something that you were able to find some entertainment in, even if you don't agree with me. But what do you think? Do you agree, or do you think Jolly is actually really good? Let me know in the comments. I didn't even ask a question in my Flumpties video for some reason, so fuck me, I apologize for that. I spent way too long looking over that video to double check, and no, I never asked one. Those Nights at Rachel's. That is the game we'll be talking about today. Am I excited to talk about this? Originally, yes, I was. It's a classic, and surprisingly, a classic I had actually never seen before. Made by Nixon, also known for this little FNAF game. I'm not totally sure if you've heard of it. It's kind of a little bit under the radar, you know, kind of a little bit underground, you could say, called The Joy of Creation. I was pretty excited to see what this game had in store for me, and then I played it. And after playing it, I can say I honestly thought there would be more to talk about. Expect a shorter video today, because when I tell you that this game is literally a bunch of nothing, I'm not lying. Strap in and get ready to dive into the very small world of Those Nights at Rachel's. Those Nights at Rachel's takes place in a restaurant called Doug's and Rachel's. We play as a newly hired night guard. I'm sure you would have never been able to figure that out. Yes, in fact, we do surprisingly play as a security guard in this Five Nights at Freddy's game. I know that's pretty out of the norm for a FNAF game, but hey, Those Nights at Rachel's was really trying to reinvent the wheel here, break the mold. Let's jump into the first night this game has to offer and really start going over a few of the major flaws I noticed. To start, the office is massive. We've got 2 big doors, pretty standard, and we've got 2 monitors, one for your cameras and the other for your door buttons, and a display which shows how much power you have remaining. Finally, there's a spare room off to the side that has some curtains, but we'll talk about that a little bit later. But to start, I want to talk about what I personally feel is this game's biggest flaw. The majority of the things in Those Nights at Rachel's are redundant or not useful at all. I could explain every single reason right now, but I think it would be better to explain these problems as they become relevant naturally throughout the game. To start, let's talk about how the door monitor is actually useless completely. Now, you might be thinking, how could the monitor that allows you to close the door be useless? That's like literally the main mode of defense in a lot of FNAF games. Well, here's where we get to talk about something really cool, and something in retrospect I'm not a huge fan of in FNAF games. Keybinds. Keybinds in most games serve to make the experience more comfortable for the user, and in a lot of cases, even in FNAF games, they can be used properly and work effectively. For example, Rachel's uses keybinds in a very good way, that being movement. While playing those nights at Rachel's, you'll see several arrows, and it may even look a bit overwhelming. Clicking these arrows will transport you around the office, whether that be turning, traveling to another room, peeking around a corner, or hiding under your desk. Ignoring the fact that these arrows are always present, which could lead to confusion as to when certain actions can be performed, with all of these buttons on screen and the fact we're in a 3D environment, adding keybinds for movement was a very smart idea, as you can use WASD to turn and move and E to peek around corners. This is a very good example of keybind integration into a FNAF game. Now it's time to talk about a very poor integration of the keybinding. Using the Z and X keys, you can shut the two doors in your office. Now, I want to be very clear that mechanic by itself is not inherently a bad thing. Binding doors to a key on the keyboard can work. I think it worked well in a game like Ultimate Custom Night. However, here's the big difference between Ultimate Custom Night and those nights at Rachel's. UCM keybinds work not only because a large focus of the game's mechanics centralize around keybinds, actively making keybinding a mechanic of the game itself, but without keybinds, the game would probably be completely impossible. While yes, a lot of the things could be controlled solely by your mouse in UCM, it's also not possible to do multiple things at once with your mouse like is required by UCM. So in that case, I think keybinding works and is good. Those nights at Rachel's uses keybinding in a way that makes an otherwise interesting mechanic completely useless. You will never have to look at the second monitor in your office throughout your entire playthrough. Adding keybinds to the doors has made it useless, and that's what I mean. And that's the pattern you're going to notice as we continue to talk about the game. Mechanics making other mechanics useless. This is, in my opinion, the prime example of this in Rachel's. But we'll talk about a few more as we go on. On night one, we get a phone call from a teenager who sounds like he's about to neck himself.
Hello and welcome to your new job at Doug's and Rachel's.
Before transferring us to a live call with the manager of the establishment.
Hello? Hello? Are you there?
At first, that might sound cool. Popco's did a somewhat similar mechanic where you could interact with the phone guy by asking a question at the end of the call. Rachel's doesn't do that, it just acts as a normal phone call, but that's really nitpicky. We're told the basics of how the nights are going to play out. We're told point blank that the animatronics move around and that we will need to close the doors to defend ourselves, something that isn't typically seen in FNAF games. Transparency? That's nuts. Except not really, because after almost letting out the words saved my life, the phone guy chooses instead to say saved my job. So, I mean, not completely transparent, but I guess that's progress. It's also during this phone call where we learn that recently a newer restaurant has been destroying the reputation of Rachel's, that restaurant being Freddy Fazbear's. Now, here's an interesting question. What could have possibly happened at Freddy's that would have made another establishment with robots look bad? Oh yeah, maybe death. Yeah, that'd do the job. I would love to keep talking about the night one phone call, but there's this really funny and quirky moment that happens during it. Something about Rachel's is that the nights are really, really short. So, and I'm not kidding, the phone call is literally cut short in the middle of a sentence because the night ends.
Sanitary and rude, but customers are customers. We don't need them.
Is this guy gonna shut the fuck up?
Hello and welcome to your new job at Doug's and Rachel's. We have the best animatronics and food available at the
What?
lowest prices.
What the fuck?
Straight up guaranteed. Since this is your first night at the job.
Okay. I guess that's night one. What can I say? This is absolute peak cinema, and I've never seen anything better before in my life. But enough about the boring shit. What about what actually happens during the night? Well, if you were hoping for anything at all, put that thought away because literally nothing happens at all. And it's not even for a lore interesting way like FNAF 3, where nothing happens on night one because Springtrap isn't even in the building yet. No, animatronics move on night one in those nights at Rachel's, but they just never make it to your office, something that I promise you will be a common trend throughout your playthrough. But let's talk about the animatronics that activate on night one. Literally every single fucking one aside from 2. Now relax. That may sound intimidating, but keep in mind I said you will never get attacked on this night. The only 2 characters that aren't active are Pete and Bane. However, I'm not going to explain the mechanics of each character that is active on this night right now to save you all from blowing your brains out. Instead, I'll just introduce characters as I talk about the nights and space them out a bit. Let's talk about the 2 characters you'll probably see the most, Rachel and Doug, the 2 faces of the restaurant. I really want to start by talking about Doug, since you will really be seeing him a lot. And I do want to preface that a lot is subjective for this game, since, no fucking joke, I probably had an animatronic reach my office less than 10 times throughout my entire playthrough. That's how much fucking nothing happens during this game, by the way. Doug does what you think a first active animatronic would do. Wanders around the building and eventually makes it to your office. If he gets to your door, you can check by peeking around the corner and flashing your flashlight, which I will admit does look pretty cool. And I think that having to peek him like a game of Valorant is actually a really interesting idea. Too bad I only got to do it about 4 fucking times. Obviously, just close the door and he leaves. Now we can talk about Rachel, except no we can't because she's literally just Doug. She does the exact same thing with no difference. I'm so happy I'm alive. I'm actually pretty sure that throughout my entire playthrough, never once was I attacked by Rachel. You know, the main fucking character in the game. I never saw her aside from in the cameras. Oh, and speaking of the cameras, they are a whole nother issue in and of themselves. They're worthless. Kind of, pretty much. Now, to be fair, I'm aware this game was made really early on in terms of FNAF fan games. So to a degree, you can excuse mechanics not being perfect. But even in the original game, the cameras had a use. Now, I want to make it clear that yes, technically they aren't completely useless. With how infrequently the characters seem to move, it might as well be useless. So let's talk about this game's camera forcer. This game's Foxy, Ray the raccoon. Ray, quite literally, is just Foxy. Starts on one camera, has multiple different phases he'll move through before charging at your office and killing you. The way to stop him is easy. Just look at the cameras. I'm not sure if he cares about you watching him specifically or just checking if you're on the cameras in general, but it honestly doesn't matter which one it is because he's the only character on the cameras that even matters, so you should probably just have your camera on him all the time anyways. Dexter, you literally just explained how the cameras aren't worthless, yet you still called them worthless. Why? Why did you do that? That doesn't make sense. It really sounds like you're just being negative for the sake of being negative. While I personally never once saw Ray attack throughout the entirety of my playthrough, you do not have to check on Ray very frequently. Yes, if you never open the cameras, he will more than likely attack you, but even if you just check the camera once every 30 seconds, he's not gonna get you. I don't think looking at the camera for 1 second every 30 seconds is making use of the cameras. A game you could easily compare this to is Five Nights at Freddy's 1, a game that has you do pretty much the same thing. Really just opening the cameras without doing much of anything on them. And while I agree that the cameras in Five Nights at Freddy's 1 are generally useless, there's at least a few useful mechanics that can come from them. For example, we all know that your right door camera is really the only camera that matters, with the occasional check to Foxy to see what phase he's on. You could argue that having to look at 2 cameras rather than just one, like in Rachel's, already makes FNAF 1's camera system more useful, but I feel like that might be grasping at straws a bit. There is one other mechanic that the cameras have that can actually be pretty useful in a small handful of situations, that being forcing Foxy to attack faster using the right hall cam. When Foxy leaves Pirate's Cove, there's a range of time it will take for him to be at your right door. However, you can force the attack to happen sooner by checking the right hall camera, which can be nice if, for example, Bonnie is already at your door and you want to get the Foxy attack out of the way during that time, something I like to take advantage of during stressful modes like 420. I have to be transparent for a moment and mention that there very well might be a mechanic like the right hall mechanic in Rachel's. However, like I've already stated, I've never got attacked by Ray in my playthrough, so I never really got the chance to check, and the wiki doesn't explicitly mention anything like that either, so if it does exist, I walk back my criticism. However, something that you can't neglect is just that. I never got attacked. The cameras are somewhat useful in FNAF 1 because you can do something and you will be attacked by your camera animatronic. There is no FNAF playthrough where you're not attacked by Foxy. There are playthroughs where you're not attacked by Ray, and that's where the real issue actually lies. Anyways, let's move on to night 2, which introduces Pete and the Thing. Let's start with Pete. He's Doug, except he goes to your other door. However, this does bring up another mechanic that would be interesting if it was actually ever useful: hiding under your desk. Only one door in your office can be closed at a time, so what happens if 2 animatronics attack your doors at the same time? Well, first of all, that's never gonna happen. You don't get attacked frequently enough, but even if it did, that's where hiding under the desk becomes important. If 2 animatronics are at your doors, you close one of them and hide under the desk until the other leaves. But now hold up. Wait a minute. Something ain't right. If hiding under the desk can make the animatronics at your doors go away, do you even need to close the doors in the first place? Well, to my understanding, no. You don't need to close the doors for the door animatronics. You can always just choose to hide under the desk. Excuse me? You've just made an already semi-useless mechanic even more useless by designing another mechanic that solves the same problem without using up power. So the only time you actually ever need to close the door is when Ray is coming to your office, but we've already established that Ray is probably never going to attack you. So you literally never have to close the doors in a FNAF game. What? Okay, so that's pretty stupid. What about the other character on this night? The Thing. Maybe he'll be interesting. No. Hate to break it to you, but the answer is no. The Thing attacks from the curtain room. Throughout the night, the curtains will slowly open. If they open all the way, the Thing will come out and kill you no matter what, since not even hiding will be able to save you, and there's no door to the room he comes from. So every once in a while, you'll have to run to the other room and close the curtains. How frequently do you have to do this? Well, on night 2, doing it once every hour will be enough, but with the lack of movement speed from any of the characters, even on the hardest nights in this game, you will have more than enough time to go over to the curtain and close it. You know it's sad when what I just explained to you is the most difficult threat in the entire game. Throughout the phone calls so far, it's been made clear that the goal of ours and the phone guy is to get a promotion, and the night 3 phone call continues that narrative. The phone guy mentions that the owner of the establishment has gone missing, and that the only reason that bothers him is that nobody can get a promotion unless he's present. So that's obviously concerning for that reason. It's revealed that the owner doesn't want to be tied to the establishment anymore, and I find that a bit weird. I get that Freddy has had a shady past, but from what I understand so far, this place doesn't, at least not directly. That's really all that's important from the phone call, so we can talk about some of the new threats on this night. Let's start with Bane. Fun fact, it's just Pete with a costume on. He does the exact same thing. Also, want to hear something crazy about night 3? From this point forward, it is literally impossible for Rachel to reach your office for the rest of the game. Which means she was only ever able to reach your office on nights 1 and 2. But the craziest part? The chances of her ever reaching your office on nights 1 and 2 are borderline impossible because of how infrequently the characters move on the early nights. Which means there is a very probable chance that you will not see the main fucking character of the game throughout the entire game. What the fuck kind of logic is that? And that's really it. Something I didn't mention about Bane, by the way, is that during this night, it is borderline impossible for him to make it to your door, so you never have to worry about him either. We love video game balancing over here on the Dxtr White channel. Night 4's phone call actually has some substance to it. Apparently, the boss is still missing and nobody knows where he is, which now apparently means we won't even get paid for the week we've been doing. Phone guy mentions possibly having corporate find another boss, a better one that would give us the raise we wanted. Phone guy mentions he was snooping around in the back room and found an unlocked phone in a drawer that was apparently the boss's. He says he wasn't able to look through it for long because another employee found him snooping around. The only thing he could see was that the phone had something about an old factory or pizzeria on it. Who really cares about any of that though? Are you ready for the most fun you've ever had playing a FNAF game in your entire life? Well, let me introduce you to Night 4, where you'll probably have an animatronic at your door a total of 3 fucking times. Maybe 4 if you're lucky. By the way, I know I'm going to get comments about this, but yes, I am aware about the hard mode version of this game, which, as the name suggests, makes the game harder. However, even in the more difficult version of this game, Night 4 is when it really starts to get difficult, except for one super funny problem. There's a bug in the code that prevents both Rachel and Ray from ever attacking unless the power goes out, which means the cameras are literally useless because Ray will never run to your office, so you can just hide under the desk the entire game and occasionally pull the curtains closed. The only other threat in this night is Pete and Bane, but they both attack the right door. Something funny though is that they can't appear in your right doorway if you're looking at it. So you don't even mean to hide under the desk. You can just look at the fucking doorway and they won't come. Granted, if they do get to your door while you're closing the curtains, you only have about 5 seconds to react and close the door or hide under the desk. But still, holy shit, how the hell is hard mode so goddamn easy? Night 5's phone call has some honestly pretty interesting reveals. It's clear that the message we're hearing was meant to be sent to the boss, who we find out's name is Phil, clearly establishing that the phone guy still has contact with him despite his disappearance. However, it's also clear that the phone guy doesn't know where Phil went. Phone guy mentions doing something else to sabotage the business down the street, referring to Freddy's. He says they've already had one incident, so making another one happen is sure to work, which would lead one to believe that they're suggesting they caused whatever the original incident that happened there was, or that they're just wanting to cause another one. When the idea was shot down for bringing a bad rap to animatronics in general, Phone Guy says that he really messed up this time, which would lead me to believe that he had already chosen to do something. It's at this moment that the Phone Guy mentions that they've got us, the character we play as, quote, tied up in our strings. So that's awesome. Thanks, Guy. I thought we had something special together, but clearly I was just a piece of eye candy for you to oogle at all day. I thought you loved me. Anyways, the phone guy asks Phil if he's actually going to give us that promotion we apparently were promised. And he says he'd be willing to make up a lie to tell us to make sure that promotion never happens. And in all honesty, the moment I heard that shit, I would have walked right out of that goddamn building. My feelings are crushed, Guy. I'm a person too, you know. Night 5 still has the problem of both Rachel and Ray not being able to attack you. The bug carrying over to the non-hard mode version of this game as well now, so that's awesome. Even easier. Perfect. Nothing of interest to talk about here except for what happens after you complete the night. After finishing off Night 5, we get a cutscene inside of what I could only assume to be our bedroom, which for some reason has Rachel's posters on the wall. A little weird, bro, but you do you. We hear a knock at our door, and on the other side we get fucking reamed by the thing, only to wake up inside of the office once again. Apparently just being a bad dream, maybe. Or who knows? Maybe even a premonition of what's to come. Ooh, spooky! But that's really all those nights at Rachel's has to offer. A boring, monotonous gameplay loop that's enough to make me want to rather play with my own skin flute with a cheese grater. It, for some reason, helped shape the fan game scene to what it is today. Does the game look great? Yes. Are the designs good? Of course they are. But can I in all honesty say that the game itself is good? No. No, I cannot. But what about the second game? Oh boy, is that a whole nother bag of worms to dive into? Fuck it, this video has been short so far, so let's soothe our minds and talk about Those Nights at Rachel's 2 Reloaded. To start, no, this game, technically speaking, is not official. Oh, wait. Oh, shit. It's actually been endorsed by Nixon? So, okay, fuck, I guess it is canon. This game was not made by Nixon and was posted on April 1st of 2017, originally designed to be just that, an April Fool's joke. But due to Nixon not wanting to officially continue the series, he decided to jokingly make it canonical to the official lore. Just looking at the title screen of Rachel's 2 would lead you to believe it would be a normal FNAF experience, but in fact, It's not a FNAF experience at all. Pressing play, we load into an office where we can actually walk around. But before you can really get a good feel for your surroundings, we pull out the blicky and shoot the fuck out of one of the robots. What the fuck? What the fuck is this? That's right. Rachel's 2 is a horde-based survival shooter game. With waves of enemies approaching your office, you'll have to pop caps in each and every one of their asses. Each character having its own mechanic, with Doug being your everyday basic zombie, Rachel taking 2 shots to kill, Ray being tiny and running at light speed, and the fucking bull taking about 800 bullets to kill. And of course, there are more characters that I never experienced in my playthrough because this game can honestly get pretty damn hard. Would I recommend you play the second game? No, probably not. But if you want a good laugh and just want to have some retarded fun, then I think Those Nights at Rachel's 2 is definitely something you should give a try. Overall, it's very clear Those Nights at Rachel's has forever left an impact on the FNAF genre. And even though I think, generally speaking, it's pretty bad, I can't deny that it is a classic and a fan favorite, and has greatly helped in growing the very community I care so much about today. But let me know what you think. Do you agree with me? Or is Those Nights at Rachel's actually the best FNAF game ever designed by anyone ever? Let me know your thoughts in the comments below. In my 5 Nights at Frederick's video, I asked you guys what the first FNAF Max mode you completed was. My favorite answer is this one by Wonderland VR. They said Ultimate Custom Night, and fucking excuse me? Your first ever Max mode was the hardest official Click Team Max mode that exists? That's nuts. Can't even lie. Subscribe to the channels, buy some merch. I'd appreciate it a lot. I've been Dexter, and I'll see you all in the next video. See ya!